Welcome back to the Royals Review podcast. I'm your host, Dan Worth, and I'm joined as ever by my good friend, Jimmy. Join us on the back of an opening weekend defeat for the Royals, 2-0 to Lincoln, so we kick off with an away defeat. In this episode, we're going to have a quick look back at the Lincoln game. We're going to look ahead to the Huddersfield game tomorrow, and we're going to have a quick chat about the club, the state of the club, where we're going with transfers, investors, and all of the rest of it. So stick along. About half an hour, we'll talk through everything that you could possibly want to hear about the Royals. But Jim, we'll start with the transfer and rumours. Obviously, Reading still have some gaps to fill in this squad. None more so than kind of in the forward region. Talk us through some of the rumours that we've got. Obviously, Noel Hunt's spoken a little bit about Matt Ritchie, so maybe there's a place to start.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's obviously the strongest rumour going around at the moment. Pompey confirmed that they've parted ways mutually. And I think we'll get this one over the line. It's already been reported that we've had talks. I think one report said it could be like a role that eventually turns into a coaching role. But I mean, before that, it'd be a fantastic signing for the squad. It adds a much needed experience. I think he played about 40 minutes, hopefully not 40 minutes, 40 matches last season at Portsmouth and popped up with 5 goals and an assist. Obviously, this is in the Championship. So, yeah, I think he would be a really, really useful asset in League One. And on top of that, and I know we mentioned this numerous times last season about players and versatility in this squad, I can't really think of a player that is more versatile than Matt Ritchie. I think he's probably played in all positions down the wing throughout his career on both sides. So yeah, I think that'd be a fantastic signing. Hopefully we can get that one over the line. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I like that too. And as I said last week, really, I don't think you can do too much wrong by getting in experience. Now I know a lot of people are like, oh, he's 35. Like, what's the point? Are we getting him in just for because he's the only one available? I think it's a little bit more than that because, as you said, he played 40 games last season, which is lots, obviously.
Yeah.
He's very versatile, as you said. He's in the last season, he played everywhere in midfield. That means in the centre, left and right, and he covered at left back. So, yeah, I mean, if we ever need anyone to fit in at left back or in the centre or whatever happens with injuries, we're bound to get some. He can chip in. So I think it's a great signing. Yeah, I'm just happy to boost the squad with experienced players that one will add to the team in terms of their quality, but also the leadership and what they can offer to some of the younger members of this squad. Because as we all know, we still do have quite a few youngsters that kind of need that.
Exactly. I fully agree. I think he ticks pretty much every box for what we're looking for. It's as simple as that, really. And by the sounds of it, the deal would work quite well for him as well. So, hopefully we see that one get across the line.
Yeah, I agree. Although it does feel like we're becoming a little bit of a Portsmouth B team, which I'm not too sure how I feel about. Seems like every player we've got has either played for Portsmouth or been on loan at Portsmouth or just come directly from Portsmouth. But
they won the league, so if we can do that as well, then there'll be no complaints, I'm sure.
Very true. I appreciate you taking a positive look at that. Let's talk a little bit more about the forwards then. We obviously got Mark O'Mahony, or Omani, I think they were pronouncing him on the weekend, who obviously failed to find the back of the net in his debut. And I do still feel like we're quite light in that area. There's obviously been a few rumours about Devante Cole, although he seems to be rumoured with a few places at the moment. Who do you think is our most likely, and who do you want through the door?
Yeah, I mean, I think just to start with, I feel like Omani is going to be a really important player for us this season. I think everyone's just judging him off one game and a pre-season where I don't think anyone particularly stood out. So, yeah, I don't know. I feel like people are already writing him off, but I do think he's going to end up scoring a lot of goals this season. So, don't write him off. But it's true. We do need to add more strikers to the squad. Obviously, Devante Cole has been the strongest rumour. but I don't know. I just feel like there's not really. It's been going along for so long now, and it's not really. You've not heard anything that suggests it's progressed. If anything, I've seen more clubs get linked to him. I was looking this morning, and it looks like not Portsmouth, Plymouth are in for him as well. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. And also, yeah, he's got pretty good stats in this league. He's not really done anything in the last season. I think is he 30 years old or is he 31 years old now? I'm starting to think like, he could be the solution for one season, but is that what Coig and Todd are really looking for? I feel like they'd be looking for someone that is slightly more longer term and somebody that they might, be able to make some money on. Mm-hmm. So I'm starting to think whether they'll end up going for someone that's got a few more years on them and is maybe not as proven in this league. And I guess that kind of brings us on to Ronan Hale, who is another striker from the SPL that's been linked. But again, that's been sort of going on in the background for a few weeks now, and it doesn't really sound like too much more has progressed. I think that there was like quite a big figure. Who was it? Oh, Ross County. Sorry, I thought it was Dundee. Yeah. Ross County, I think they wanted like over $1 million. So obviously that one's going to end up taking a while, but I guess we'll sort of see what happens there. And then I guess the final forward, again, one that's sort of been ticking on in the background is Josh Bowler. I mean, I think personally that one could be dead in the water now, to be honest, especially since we signed Paddy Lane. And to be honest, I think Lane could actually be a better signing. He is proven in League One in terms of scoring goals. He's got a point to prove. I guess he didn't sort of have enough for Pompey in the Championship, but he was key in their seasons in League One, in their promotion season. And although Bowler is obviously a good player and he would be what a lot of people would consider a marquee signing at this level, he's not really done much in the last few years, and he never scored loads of goals. I just think Paddy Lane will tick that box and probably do more than what Bowler would do anyway. So I'm not too bothered about missing out on that. I do think a striker is obviously the main target, and that brings us on to the last point, which I'll let you have a little chat about as well. But there's a few rumours going around that Spurs, I think it's been since January, to be honest, Spurs are keen on Andre Garcia. And there's been talk of a deal that involves or potentially involves Dane Scarlett coming this way. Mm-hmm. So we'll have to see what happens there. But obviously, he's been on loan in League One before. Did he produce as much as Devante Cole? No, but he's a young player that's got loads of potential. I think he scored Europa League goal.
Yeah, he has
for Spurs. So it's a high potential. Do I think people will be happy with it? Possibly not. We did the poll earlier this week, and I'm pretty sure it went Devante Cole. I can't even remember. Can you get it up in front of you? I think it was something like 75% of people would prefer that. Ronan Hale, and then Don Ballard and Dane Scarlett. But I think realistically, I'd be happy with any of them, to be honest. Who knows? Maybe the striker that comes through is not even one that's been linked with us yet. But
yeah, we'll see. I wouldn't be too disappointed with Dane Scarlett. I think he comes with a lot of promise, but he's 21, which is quite young, but it's not that young, and he has only scored 5 professional goals, which for a striker, is that right? Sorry, it's not right, but it's 9 professional goals. It's still not loads. Scored 4 goals for Oxford in the Championship last season. Had a rating of 6.25. Like it's all right. It's fine. And maybe he would be perfectly good enough to lead the line in League One, and maybe I would eat those words. But I think I would probably still be in the Devante Cole camp. Yeah. That said, I've obviously been trying to drum up a little bit of appetite, rumours for two strikers who I know would definitely smash it in League One, and that is the return of Sam Smith or Mikel Antonio. I'm guessing Antonio is probably demanding ridiculous wages and we would never go anywhere near it. But if he gets desperate, I think he would be unbelievable in League One.
I mean, if we get Sam Smith and Mikel Antonio, damn.
Yeah,
just thinking about it is crazy.
Yeah.
What good options there would be. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Smith's a weird one because like I think he deserves a shot in the Championship. He did great for us. He was good at Cambridge. You know, he's done his time in League One. He was great for Wrexham. But they seem to have just signed so many forwards now. It's kind of hard to see him getting a look in. So, like, I don't know, part of me, it would be another loan deal. But personally, I just think he's done his time at Reading as well now, unfortunately. So,
yeah.
Back,
the only thing that I'm holding on to is that he never wanted to leave to go to Wrexham, but it was out of necessity. But I agree. I think you can go back once. I don't know if you can go back twice. Like, don't get me wrong, I'd love it to happen, but he's probably thinking, right, I've started my new chapter now. It's time to either go somewhere else or stay at Wrexham or whatever. I just had a look at Antonio and his wages last season. Any guesses?
80k.
Yeah, £85,000 a week. So he'd have to take probably an £80,000 a week pay cut to join Reading.
Yeah,
a boy can dream.
Yeah, exactly. Part of me does think that one thing that is missing from this transfer window, and one thing that I feel that Todd would want to have, is just like a massive statement signing. And I'm not talking sort of Jay Stansfield, Birmingham sort of level, but just a signing which is like, okay, right, we do mean business. All of the stuff that they were talking about at the beginning of the transfer window about having the fourth biggest budget in the league or whatever and having a spectacular window. At the moment, that's also subjective. Like, I think we've had a really good window, don't get me wrong, but there's people out there that are probably waiting for something much bigger. So, yeah, I do wonder if there is, something like that around the corner. Will it be Mikel Antonio? I highly doubt it. But, it could be a player that like no one really expected. Like we're saying, all of these strikers that are currently linked, maybe it's not even one of them and it's someone far better, but we'll find out.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. Paddy O'Connor, probably one of the marquee signings that we've brought in so far, is out. He's out for 2 to 3 weeks. A player who I believe, off the top of my head, featured in every single League One game last season. And we're talking about, the best ability is availability, joins Reading and is out for the first 3 weeks of the campaign. It's hard to say how much of a blow that is because we haven't really seen him in a competitive, we haven't seen him in a competitive game yet for Reading, but feels like a big blow, particularly with Huddersfield coming to town this weekend, who, in my opinion, and we'll obviously come on to this, are probably the strongest attacking team in League One this season. How big of a blow do you think that is?
Yeah, it's massive. It's just typical, really, isn't it, as well? Like you were saying, his availability at Lincoln he was always around. So yeah, it's a huge loss. Especially, I know we mentioned this on the pod last week as well, the sort of toughest run of fixtures. I feel like we do have some big games at the beginning of this season. So yeah, it's just a matter of trying to get him back as quick as possible, I think. And then just hoping that he doesn't get injured again. But yeah, I think it's 2 to 3 weeks. He's supposed to be out for. So yeah, hopefully we can get him back sooner than that. But yeah, it's a big loss for sure.
Yeah. I mean, just like from a selfish point of view, I'm just really excited to see what he can do in League One. So I'm like, we've got to wait another couple of weeks for that. I was really hoping to see that this weekend at the SCL, but alas, we'll have to wait a little bit longer. Mm-hmm. Then lastly, on the club updates, there was obviously a Q&A last night, and since we last spoke, there have been a couple of investors or new sponsors announced. I think today or yesterday, Citizen Watches have become an investor or sponsor. PricedUp.bet have also chipped in. They're sponsoring the training kit. And I think there was another one that I'm forgetting off the top of my head. There's been a little bit of controversy around who we're getting in and what we're doing. From my point of view, I think investment is absolutely necessary. And obviously, I don't want it to be from like crazy, ridiculous places that are unethical. But I don't think we have done that. And I think the negative reaction is a little bit over the top. What do you make of the new investors? You think it's a positive thing, or are you kind of against where they've made their money?
No, I'm not against it. I think the club need money at the end of the day. It's as simple as that, really. I think whatever way that you look at it, there's other industries that are involved with sponsorship that probably have, bad impacts on people's lives as well. But there's no issues there. I think right now, look, we need money, and if those sorts of deals bring money through the door, then I'm not going to be one that's complaining. But like you mentioned with the new investor, which Coig announced that we're in the process of onboarding, which should be completed early next week, I think.
Yeah.
I imagine this might align with new signings, or the fact that it's not over the line yet is why we haven't signed anyone this week, or haven't got the striker through the door. But I guess there's not really much information besides that. It's obviously a positive. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens there, and what news comes out next week. But, any investment right now is good for the club.
Yeah, absolutely. And even just looking forward, like obviously investment provides a bit of stability for the club, and is obviously something that, and it's a word that we haven't heard for God knows how many years, 3 or 4 years now. So I think it is good. Also, like, these companies have an appetite in sponsoring our club. I think it's something to be like quite happy about, because as I say, for a few years now, like no one would touch us with a barge pole. So I think it's quite a nice reflection of the state we're in now, and we are attracting these deals, and long may it continue from my point of view.
For sure.
Right. I know we probably don't want to, but let's have a quick chat about the 2-0 defeat against Lincoln. I don't really know what to make of it, to be honest. I don't necessarily think people should be reacting to it too dramatically. I think it was a very typical League One game where it could have gone either way, and Reading just didn't get the rub of the green and conceded 2 goals and didn't capitalise on their chances. Lewis Wing hit the post twice. On another day, they both go in and we win the game, or we at least get a point. I thought in parts, Kelvin and Kamara caused their backline a few issues. I didn't generally think our backline was too weak. I thought we looked completely fine, but there's not much you can do about that first goal. Like the deflection of Burns, past Pereira, like 99 times out of 100, maybe even more than that. That doesn't go in. That goes out for a corner, and it's still 0-0, and it's probably still 0-0 at half time, and we're in with a shout in the second half. So I don't think we need to look into it and be too critical of the team. But it's obviously not ideal to start the season on a loss. What do you make of that defeat?
Yeah, I agree. Obviously not the start that we are looking for, but it did seem like nothing was really going our way. And I hate saying that, because we said it so many times last season, but some of the officiating in this league is just, there is no other way to say it other than that. I mean, unfortunate debut, own goal for Burns. I think any other time that goes out for a corner, or 9.9 out of 10 times that will go out for a corner. I highly doubt we'll see that happen again. Saying that, if it happens this weekend, then feel free to grill me. The offside goal from Kamara, though, I personally think that's poor. If I see the ball at Wing's feet on the edge of the box and he's got it for a couple of seconds, I know exactly what is going to happen. He's having a shot. And, I think Kamara should just at least be aware of, who else is around him. Kelvin was pretty much next to him, but behind him, I couldn't really work out if he was also offside. But by the looks of his reaction, Kelvin knew that Kamara was offside. So, Yeah, I just think he should have been way more aware of what else was around him. Like you mentioned, Wing, unfortunate with 2 fantastic shots. Did both hit the post? I know one of them hit the post. Obviously, the other one led to the offside, but I didn't know if it actually hit the post or not.
Yeah, one of them pushed onto the post, but it's been noted down as him hitting the woodwork.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, I mean, it's back to usual business for Wing. Hopefully, those 2 shots are on target next time. And then I guess finally the push on Omani. That's a stonewall penalty. This is what I'm on about, the officiating. It's as simple as that. It's a push in the back. Even I was watching the highlights and the commentary was Lincoln commentators.
Mm-hmm.
They said it's a penalty. Like they said straight away, they said that's a penalty. So, it did seem like nothing went our way, but we still conceded two goals. And I guess that sort of brings us onto the tactics and the setup we had.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like we were saying pre-game, like more than anything, it would be nice to go up there, keep it tight. If we can keep a clean sheet, then we'll be on the right route.
Yeah.
We've conceded 2. No matter, like, obviously, as we've covered off just then, like, there's not much you can do about the first one.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Second one, not ideal. And we've had 9 shots and hit the target 3 times. And 2 of them were from Lewis Wing. So the front line didn't really cause any problems.
Yeah.
Which is just so, like, it literally could just be first game, like not much to read into. But I think because the attacking issues have gone on for quite a while now, or not issues, but the kind of pressure or question marks gone on for quite a while now. I think people are probably quite quick to point fingers and sort of scream, "Oh, we're too weak in that area." Yeah. So I think that's definitely something that we do need to improve on, and I'm sure we will. Mm-hmm. But the standout for me for Reading was someone who I outlined at the start of the season who was going to have a very big season for us. It was Ben Elliott. I thought when he went off, it was night and day. Like he was just he looked the biggest creative threat of any of our players, and to be honest, he probably is. Mm-hmm. Just running all over the shop, like was tracking back, was getting forward. Like he was just felt like he was fundamental in everything. So I mean, more than anything, that's good that Ben Elliott's back and performing to the levels that we were kind of hoping he would and anticipating. But yeah, he definitely stood out for me. Made 3 tackles, 3 dribbles. I think there was only one player in League One that made more successful dribbles than Ben Elliott on the opening weekend. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. One shot. So I'm really excited for Ben Elliott this season. I think he's going to be right up there as one of our main men.
Yeah, 100%. I fully agree. It's great that our midfield now seems to be pretty stacked with really good players that are all slightly different profiles. Now that we've got like a proper CDM as well in Fraser. It seems like we can sort of push Wing a bit forward if we want. Obviously, Elliott's back. We've got Kamari Doyle, which we didn't mention at the beginning of the pod. Yeah. Fantastic signing. I think he'll be a great outlet when it comes to scoring goals, creating goals, being able to play across the front 3. But yeah, I mean, just sort of jumping back to the tactics, I think I saw a lot of people saying that we were just playing hoofball up to the centre forward, which obviously didn't work. I don't know. I mean, although we did see that happen, I don't think that's actually the game plan. I think our best football is played along the ground. And we just need to capitalise on that more. It's as simple as that. If we don't, then we're only going to pick up on the stuff that doesn't work, like the hoofballs up to the centre forwards that can't take it down. So, yeah, I mean, I guess we'll sort of see what happens in terms of what sort of profile of striker we'll sign. But yeah, I personally don't think it's going to be some big guy up top. I think it will be someone that's a little bit more technical, but we'll find out. And then just on the 2 goals, the high defensive line, I think this one was on Hunt. to be honest. Both goals were from balls that just went straight over the back line, and both our centre-backs were just nowhere near as fast enough to catch the wingers. And that's something that we need to be aware of if we're going to be playing a high back line. So yeah, unfortunately, that one is on Hunt to sort out, but hopefully that sort of gets nipped in the bud early, or we sign a centre-back that, is rapid.
Yeah, for sure. Cool. All right, I think that covers us off for the Lincoln defeat. Let's look ahead then to the weekend. We obviously welcome Huddersfield Town to the Select Car Leasing Stadium for our first home game of the season. Early start on Saturday, 12:30 kickoff. Coig and his men have employed a few new strategies to try and improve the match day experience. I think it's the most season tickets we've sold in a little while. So everything seems to be shaping up for it to be quite a nice day out in RG2. And also the sun is meant to be out, so that will help. But let's start by focusing on Huddersfield then. Like I can't remember if I said it last week, but I've been saying it on other podcasts and everywhere I can that I've actually backed Huddersfield to win League One this season. I've been really impressed with their business. I think they look really good going forward. I'm quite into Lee Grant as a manager. I think his background at Ipswich and Man United will put him in good stead to run a tight ship and to have a really strong League One side. And I just think their front line just looks emphatic. And I mean, we've already seen that 1 week in. They beat playoff finalists Leyton Orient 3-0 and just absolutely blitzed them off the park. Now, obviously, I'm hoping that doesn't happen this weekend and that Reading can stand up to Huddersfield. But I do think they look like quite a strong opponent. So it would be nice if we could get through this weekend without a battering. And if we can grab a point or three, I think we'd have to consider that a fantastic result. What are your thoughts on Huddersfield coming to town? Do you agree that you think that they're going to be one of the best teams we'll face this season?
Yeah, 100%. Definitely going to be one of the hardest fixtures this season, I imagine. And I think the thing is, though, I think by the end of the window, a lot of our fan base will be expecting to match these sorts of teams on pitch. Like, look at how we performed against Birmingham last season. That Birmingham squad is miles better than any of the squads that have been put together this season. So, if we just, I want to see them go for it at least. I don't want to just see the game sort of being written off. There needs to be a huge performance for this first home game. Get the fans excited. Hopefully, get some points on the board. Ultimately, that's what's gonna, get everyone excited. There can be only so much done to the match day experience, but if experiencing the match day is getting a couple of decent pints of Guinness and a Cruz Campo, but getting smashed 4-0, it's only going to last so long. So it'll be a hard game. I'm hoping that we get to see Paddy Lane and at least Paddy Lane start. I think Doyle will probably be introduced at some point. But yeah, it'll be good to see some of the new boys start.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we may as well touch on that then. Let's talk about the predicted 11 for Reading this weekend. I'm not too convinced that Noel Hunt will make any changes from the team that started against Lincoln. We might see Lane come in, but I think he probably will stick with front three of Iyabashiman, Omani and Kamara. I think that midfield three will be set for the season. And similarly with the back line and the keeper, obviously O'Connor will definitely come in for Stickland when he's prepared. But I don't know. I think we might be looking at a relatively solid 11 here, and I think he might go unchanged. Do you disagree?
Yeah, I do disagree. I think if we go for the same 11 as we started last week, we will be on the end of a battering. I think there needs to be a bit more experience at the moment. I wouldn't be surprised if Fraser comes in for maybe Savage in this game, just to add a little bit more reassurance in midfield, in the defensive side of midfield. I definitely think Paddy Lane will start. I mean, I don't see why he wouldn't start. There is nothing there. I don't see what Kamara has done or can do that is better than what Paddy Lane would do. And I also there's been a bit of talk that Dorset might be out. So I wouldn't be surprised if Jacob starts tomorrow as well. So yeah, we'll see. I think there'll be a few changes though. I'd be disappointed if there wasn't, because there were definitely gaps and areas in which we needed to improve in, especially the front three. There wasn't really too much going on in terms of getting shots away that were on target. So it would be nice to see some changes there for sure.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, before we get into the predictions, then a quick look back at our head-to-heads with Huddersfield over the years. Last season, we obviously played them twice in League One. It was 0-0 at their place and 2-1 win for the Royals back at the Select Car Leasing Stadium, but a bit further back from that, the four before, Huddersfield had won 3 of those 4. So it's a bit of a mixed bag. When you look back at our last 6, we've conceded 12 goals against Huddersfield and scored 8, lost 3, won 2, drawn 1. So yeah, I mean it's quite even, but they have got the better of us in recent times, and obviously don't have to cast your mind back too far to that day at Wembley where we were unfortunately beaten by Huddersfield on penalties. More than anything, I don't want the result to be the same as that day at Wembley, but I really would appreciate if the game wasn't quite as bad and boring as that. I would like to see a few shots from either sides, but specifically Reading this weekend. I guess the last thing to do then, Jim, is to get your score prediction for Reading versus Huddersfield in League One this Saturday.
I'm going to go 1-1. Obviously, Huddersfield have got the momentum. They'll be looking for another win on the bounce. But also, we don't want to be losing our first home game. And we've got a point to prove from last week. So, yeah, I think it will be a hard-fought 1-1 draw. How about you?
I'm not quite so optimistic. I think if we can get a 1-1 draw, I'd be ecstatic with that. As I said, I'm a massive fan of this Huddersfield team. And I actually think they beat us tomorrow. Unfortunately, I'm going to go for 2-0 to Huddersfield. I think their attacking line might be a little bit too much for our defence and our back line. As much as I don't want that to happen, I think they might just be a little bit too strong for us. So, yeah, I mean, I hope your result... In fact, I hope we win, obviously, but I think... I'm going 2-0 Huddersfield. But we'll move on from that before everyone starts calling me a pessimist. There was a couple of questions, but again, I think we've answered them all. The only other question was, we kind of did the predicted 11, but would you change the formation, do you think, for Huddersfield?
To be honest, I'm not really sure. I mean, potentially, like I said, it might be worth bringing Fraser in and playing, I don't know, like a 4-2-3-1, which I guess is what we kind of play half the time anyway. But just having a little bit more defence in midfield, or an out-and-out defender, or somebody, a midfielder that sort of sits between the defence and the forwards, and then has a few more midfielders ahead of them, pushing wing forward, I guess.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, I don't know. Like I feel like everyone wants to push wing further forward, but his output is as good when he plays further back anyway. I think last season he scored 1 less and assisted 1 less than he did the season before when he was way further forward. And I just think if you push wing further forward, you then have to make a sacrifice with all of the other midfielders or wingers that we have. Doyle, where's he going to slot in? So would I change the formation? No, I don't think so. But is it nice to actually have the option of changing the formation and having some players that are different profiles now compared to the last season? Yeah. And I think at some point this season, that'll be massive. But yeah, we'll see what Noel does.
Yeah.
Good question, man.
Yeah, it's a really good question. And as ever, we appreciate all the questions that get sent in each week, and we're more than happy to answer anything, Reading related or not, but preferably Reading related. But that brings us to a close then for our second podcast of the season. Jimmy and I will be at the Select Car Leasing Stadium this weekend. So if you see us anywhere, be sure to say hi. But until then, I guess I'll leave you with a big, come on, you are.
Catch you tomorrow, mate.
See you tomorrow.